Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. With that said, I'm just looking at the economic numbers for the week. Let's see if we get anything coming up. We get ISM manufacturing PMI Monday morning at 10. I'm sure that's going to move the market. And we have JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m. Tuesday. That will move the market. And that's what the Fed uses to look at job openings and max unemployment, what they say, which I think is bullshit. But anyways, we have more ISM PMI on 10 a.m. on Wednesday. What's the difference between manufacturing and services? Okay, that's the difference. Thursday, don't see anything. We got unemployment claims. Thursday morning, nothing too substantial. Looks like we got a Fed speaker on Thursday too. Who was it? Nestor. I'm trying to see if there's more Fed speaking on the other days. I don't see anything as of right now, but that changes quite a bit. I mean, they don't have any Fed speakers on the dock, then all of a sudden they're speaking. So Friday we have hourly earnings, a non-farm employment change, and unemployment rate, which I'm sure the unemployment rate's probably going to be bad. If it's not bad, with all of hiring freezes and the layoffs, I don't believe the number. I mean, it is what it is. I feel like that the government will cook the books to make the numbers look good at this point, because they're just so worried about Biden getting reelected, and it's all going to be all political, if anything. But anyways, got a couple of things, a few things on here that are worth looking at. Now, VIX I got up already. VIX is at a trend line. You can see it's in a little bit of a wedge going on here, a symmetrical triangle on the weekly, the daily. We hit the bottom trend line on Friday. We've got Biden with COVID for the second time in 3 days, which in my opinion, probably never got rid of it in the first place. I don't know, whatever. You can think whatever you want, but I don't care. I don't really care. I just think that he's got it for the second time. It just seems like that if he did contract it 2 times in under a week, that at his age cannot be good. With that said, we also have Speaker Pelosi over flying around Taiwan and China in that area. So if she goes to Taiwan and something happens, SPY is going to drop like 20 points literally overnight. But we'll have to see if anything happens. If she does end up going to Taiwan, as of right now she hasn't, but she is in the area, so I would not be surprised if she does do anything. And you don't really want to poke China right now. Who knows what they're willing to do. So we have a couple things with Biden with COVID and Pelosi with Taiwan. I mean, this could end up being something really, really major happening. So plus VIX right here. I mean, I'm set with VIX calls. I'm happy with where I am. I mean, the worst case is VIX gets to 20. It gets to 20, I'm going to load the boat with more VIX calls, because this is going to end up bouncing. This is going to be over 30. It's going to catch everybody off guard, you know, especially if something happens overnight. People have calls thinking that we're going to go back to all-time high, which me, I don't think we're going to yet. Not until inflation flattens. But we still have QT going on, which right now is very minimal. And the balance sheet is still going up. I don't really see how QTs even have any effect whatsoever. But when they start ramping it up in September, the market could end up really, really feeling impacts on it. Plus, this whole COVID, and I'll get back on the SPY. We pretty much covered VIX. I think VIX is going to be above 30 in the next week anyways. But we go back here to COVID. This is a COVID crash right here. This is where the Fed stumped in and dropped its little buying nuclear news. So it just nuked the market with all this pumping the money. So all this rally right here, 90% of it is the Fed and buybacks. You take out the buybacks, you take out the QE, the market could end up really taking a massive nosedive, because technically we probably should be right around the 350 level or so, but when COVID hit, we rebounded because of the Fed and the buyback. So this rally was pretty much had its hand held the entire time. So SPY weekly, I mean, what did it go to? 413. What was the high of this? 413. You know, the 415 is on the weekly. It breaks above this 415 level. I mean, it's going to pretty much break the downtrend. I mean, you could say it broke the downtrend at 400, but it's really going to break this 415 level to really have any conviction that it broke the downtrend. But I think that we're going to have a really red week this week between Pelosi and Biden and whatever other news comes out, that the market's going to end up pulling back. But I could be completely wrong. What does it matter? We'll play either direction. I mean, the hourly, look at the hourly is just 75 on the hourly. It's just been crazy. It was 80 at one point, and it's got a bearish divergence going on. You can see RSI is making a lower high. Instagram is making a lower, it's going down, making lower highs, but yeah, this is making higher highs. Definitely a very, very defined bullish divergence going on right here, and I think that we will eventually come back down and maybe test the 400 or maybe even the 390 level. But if something happens with Biden or Pelosi, we're going to be below 350 real fast. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. Take it day by day. But VIX, I think the VIX will end up popping this week. Back to the VIX really quickly. I think the VIX will end up, worst case, it gets to 20, then it'll end up probably popping to 30, 32, maybe 34, and test this trend line. But if something does happen, like I said, with Pelosi or Biden, this thing's going to be $50, $60, $70 probably overnight. Well, maybe not overnight, but what did it do in this candle right here? From 18 to 50 in one day. I mean, it's very possible it could do that if the news is really bad. But we'll have to see what happens. Right now, it's all speculation. Put to call ratio, I looked at that. I thought that put to calls ratio would be really low, and it's really not. It's still right in the middle of the channel, so it's not even worth looking at right now. So SPY, I'll be looking at it in either direction. I mean, if it does manage to get over this 415, it could make around the 420, 430, even 440 area. But I'm leaning towards the downside with all the headaches going on in the world, all the noise. But you know how SPY is. SPY just likes to ignore it. But something happens with Pelosi or Biden, it's going to react. We'll just have to see what happens. Now I have, let's see, we'll bring up Amazon. Amazon's got an interesting chart. It's got like a little abandoned baby up here. A candle in the middle of nowhere, gapped up huge from earnings. It filled the gap from right here from the last earnings. It dumped. So you see this was an earnings dump right here, and it came up and filled the gap. We'll have to see what happens here. Usually with these little abandoned babies like this, they usually come back down and fill the gap. But we'll have to see what happens. So basically, I would watch for puts underneath 132.50 and calls over we'll round up and say 138. Because at this point, I mean, they had such a massive earnings beat that we could end up going 140, 150, 160, even 170 again. But traditionally, when you have these abandoned babies, they end up coming back down. So that's why Amazon, flip a coin. I think if you use the top of the wicks on either side, the wicks on either side, puts for the bottom, calls for the top, that you'll probably do okay on this, because that's a pretty good area to play off from with those the higher day and lower day on Friday. So definitely watch Amazon. That definitely could make could be a good play either way. So Apple, that's another one. Now the thing I'm looking at Apple is, I mean, I looked at the earnings. They beat barely. The cash flow is going down. I mean, they're using a lot of their cash. They're having desperate sales. To me, that does not seem like a very strong thing to do, especially Apple resorting to that. And you have this trend line right here on the weekly and the daily. You see the weekly, it's been held as support right here. Then all of a sudden it gets to its resistance now. So it did react to it. It got above it, came back under and closed underneath the trend line. And I think I would definitely keep an eye on it under, let's see, 161 for a gap fill down to the 158 area. And if the news, any news is bad that comes out of the market does tank, I mean, it could end up going lower to 155, 151, even 145. But I'll have to see. This trend line is a major deal for Apple. I mean, it's been holding us support for since, let's see, September 2020. So we'll have to see if it does act as resistance, because right here it sank below it, didn't even come back up to retest it, but right here it did. So we'll have to see what happens on that. Netflix, let's see. Now Netflix is it's kind of got an interesting chart right here. I mean, it's got gap resistance right here at 250, but you get kind of like an ascending wedge forming right here on the daily. You can see where it's kind of making a higher low right here, and it's flat topping at the we'll say 230 level. Yeah, 230 level up here. It gets up at 230, it's going to make a run to 250. Now, whether it goes for a gap fill over 250, I have no idea. Usually it likes to act as resistance and reject the first time, because technically it has not tested it once since the earning drop right here. So likely I think it runs to 250 and it will probably reject. But Netflix is kind of like weird sometimes, where it can just get to a resistance line and just steam right through it and have it just an unbelievable run. Netflix is very, very weird when it comes to resistance like that. Like Roku used to do the same thing back when Roku was good, which I'm going to go over next. Roku used to have resistance areas, and all of a sudden, boom, would have a $20, $30 run after it breaks through a huge pivotal area. So Netflix, watch it over 230 for a run to 250, and 250, we'll have to see what it does there. Now Roku just took another hammering. This thing cannot get out of its way. It's weird that little over a year ago it was $500, almost $500. Now it's 65. Almost gonna be. I thought it was going to go to 50. I mean, this is what COVID had it right down here. Is this COVID? Yeah. COVID crash. It was down to 58. I mean, under 50. I can't imagine this thing going under $50. But can never say never. I didn't think it was going to go into 300. I didn't think it was going to go into 200. I didn't think it was going to go into 100. This thing cannot get out of its own way. But it does manage to get over 66. As you can see right here, gap down. If it does get over this, it could go for a gap fill. It could make a nice big monster run. Now remember, Roku's got a lower float, got a really low float for a large cap. I think it's got the lowest float for a large cap. So we could end up seeing a massive short squeeze out of Roku at some point. I really thought we were going to get it back over here when it was flirting with 100 right here. I thought it was going to pop here, here, and here, and then boom, it just gets slammed. But it does get. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people on the short side of this. If they're still there, thinking that we're going to get 50, I mean, we could end up seeing a gamma squeeze over 66. So Roku, definitely keep an eye on that. Even though earnings was bad, I mean, it's gone from 500 to 65. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. Walmart is another one. You know, Walmart just this is what I'm kind of thinking that Roku might do right here. A gap down from earnings, and we might get a rebound from Roku like this. But I would watch Walmart over 130. I mean, this is a pretty nasty run, though. I mean, it did fill the gap. We could end up pulling back some, but I would watch it over this 133 area for a push to gap resistance right here, the 137, 140. I mean, you fill in this gap, you might as well go up here and test this gap resistance right here. That's my thinking at this time. I mean, it's getting really extended on the hourly. I mean, this is a pretty significant run for Walmart. $12 on Walmart. I mean, you don't usually see candles like this, but we may get a little bit of a pullback of like Monday or Tuesday. Then it might come back up and retest this 133 area, then try to make a run to the 137, 140 area of Walmart. So Walmart may be kind of tricky, but it does present a nice little possible play. We'll have to see if that ends up happening or not. Then let's see, NVIDIA is another one. See, NVIDIA right here, you get a kind of a you could say inverted head and shoulders right here. You get the left shoulder right here, the head and the right shoulder right here. The neckline you could say is, I'd say it's more of a slanted neckline, like right in here, right around I'd say the 184 level. So if it gets over 183, I'll get over Friday's high of 180. Yeah, we'll say we'll round up to 183. That we could end up seeing a nice little run. Now on the weekly, you get the 20 EMA right there at the what level is this? 188, 189. So which will put it right. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty tough level because this is where resistance is right here, this 190 level. And then you get the 20 EMA on the weekly right there. So, but if NVIDIA gets any steam behind it, which we both know it can, so if it does manage to get over 183, make a run to the 190 area, and it does break the 190 area, it's probably going to shoot to 200, 210, 220 pretty quickly. So NVIDIA definitely could make a run for it. Last one is Target. Now Target, I kind of got mixed feelings about because Walmart misses, Amazon beats. Target is right at the gap resistance right here. It got gap right here, 160, 166, 167. It drops, come back up, retest it, drops. Now it tries to retest, but doesn't quite get there. It drops down to the 20 EMA, bounces up. Now it's back in the area where it's testing gap resistance again. Now if it does manage to get over, look at the hourly. The RSI on the hourly is like over 73. It might pull back more to the 160, then make a run for it. But over 164, make a run to 167. Now, if it does get over 167, it's probably going to make a run to 170, 175. Basically every $5, 180, 185. But I can't imagine it going much more than 180. I mean, I don't know if it can fill the gap in one shot. That's a pretty huge gap to fill. I mean, that's what, 167 to 210, and that's a $40 gap to fill. I can't see it doing that, especially in one move straight up. But who knows? I mean, anything can happen. But I definitely think that I'd be watching it for a gap resistance break. Target's definitely ready for a possible move. But like I said, I got mixed feelings. Walmart missing, Amazon beating. Who knows what the sentiment's going to be on Target. But sometimes Target just surprises you. So Target does make some crazy moves. So that's going to do it for the watch list. And we'll take it day by day and see how the market gaps up or gaps down overnight, depending on the news and stuff like that, and take it from there. So see you in the room. Thanks for watching.